Okay, people, so The Burden, right? This is a new film, obviously showing at Sci-Fi London, right? It is from director uh, Tish Arana. Yeah, I feel I pronounced that right. Man, my ability with names is, yeah, kind of terrible. I know. I do try, people. I really do. But yeah, it's from Tish Arana, actually. Tish Arana, right? The film is produced by Brandy Nicole. It's co-executive produced by Susan Keller and Tom Keller. It is co-produced by Carol Martin, associate produced by Jennifer Walters, Andrea Varna, Caitlin D. Jones, Crystal Cotton, Rashim Kanad, and Tish Arana executive produces the film with post-production from Puppet. Brandon K. Verrett handled the music. Kalaya Robinson was on cinematography, while Puppet also edits the piece. Right, Caitlin D. Jones also took care of the casting. Stacia Muse was production design. Set decoration was Vanessa Ruth Hunter Farrell. Costume design also is Stacia Muse. Hair and makeup, we have Dawn Coleman and India Hammond. And the illustrations and other visual effects are Thomas Cadwell, Zora Kovac, and Chris Tyrodo. Our cast. All right. Well, how do we do this? All right. Well, let's say the narrator of the whole piece is Ashley C. Ford. All right. Our tribunal judges. All right. Our tribunal judge number 1 was played by Vieux. Judge number 2 is played by Rashawn Nadine Scott. And Tribunal Judge 3 was Samuel Ademola. All right, we then have got Ava, played by Tish Arana. We've got Shawn Lee, right? I guess our main participant, played by Rajiv Shah. Then there is the stimulation modulator is voiced by Aisha Lomax. Then we've got Charles Walker, played by Dejon Johnson. Laverne Thomas, played by Lavelle Ruby. Gabriel Rodriguez, played by Christopher Benitez. Keiko Ariyoshi, played by Faye Kato. Coda, played by Puppet. Daisy Jenkins, played by Louise Houghton. So that's the cast. Now, the gist of the film, right? So in 2044, immediately following the election of another racist president, a group of wealthy black people pooled their money together to take all willing black people off Earth to a new colony in the Andromeda Galaxy they built called New World Sankofa. In order for non-black people to gain citizenship, they must go through a series of citizenship steps, concluding with a formal hearing in front of a tribunal. We open on one tribunal hearing featuring an Asian American man named Shawn Lee. He's proven he's well versed in black culture until they learn he's a perpetual N-word user. The tribunal judges attempt to reason with Shawn to no avail, realizing he's more appropriator than appreciator. He's a classic culture vulture, wanting everything but the burden. The judges have technology up their robe sleeves, though. Bum, bum, bum. I mean, yeah, this was interesting, right? Like from the I did not know what this was. I wasn't sure what this was about, but I was like, yo, I gotta give this one a look. And so it was interesting, very interesting, but it was well put together, man. We've got a statement from Tish, right? It reads, "The Burden is an Afro-futuristic film inspired by actual events. I overheard one of my husband's Filipino friends yell the N-word in an Instagram story and felt compelled to explore a racially emphatic approach to a radically emphatic approach to this ongoing conversation. Hearing the same people using the word compounded with the powerlessness I felt in that moment was the impetus for The Burden. For the first time, I understood a writer's power and the desire to drag those people in the same way I felt dragged. Thus, a revenge fantasy was born." Taking note from the great sketch comedies I grew up with, I designed The Burden to elicit laughs that will hopefully blossom into substantive dialogue about racism and anti-blackness. I felt compelled to address how racism plays out among people of color. I believe a black utopian society would most certainly have solved not only racism and colorism, but also homophobia and transphobia. Therefore, casting a black, dark-skinned trans woman as a tribunal judge was pivotal to my utopian vision. I believe when our most marginalized members of society represent highest positions of power, we all win. So, yeah, that's what is behind The Burden. And yeah, I I really did enjoy this. It was very amusing, right? And if you think about it, right, this isn't an out there concept, right? Because after the Civil War, African Americans, a lot of them, moved to Liberia, right, in an attempt to find somewhere to, actually call home with no bullshit or any stigmas, anything like that. Now, that didn't necessarily go that well, right? There was, issues involved. But I think the interesting thing was the native Liberians, right, were a bit like the Sankovians, like, should you all be just coming here? Why are you coming here? Right? Do you actually have Liberian ancestry? Or what's going on? Right? So there are those things, right? We've had precedents. And yeah, there's definitely that thing of feeling anchorless, right? When you're in a spot and you're just feeling like, yo, what's going on here? Right? I ain't feeling any love. I'm not feeling appreciated. Everyone's telling me to go back to my own country, right? Where this is my country. Like, what the fuck? What's happening? So, you know what I mean? Something like The Burden really does strike a chord. And then when you're hearing, you know what I mean, that like the people with their justifications, yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? It's definitely kind of crazy. So it makes no sense. I mean, We had oh god, what was it? It was Daisy Jenkins when she's talking, right? She's just like, I'm married a black man. I've got black sons, so obviously that makes me black, right? And then the whole the 23andMe kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like all of that. Like you hear that kind of craziness all the time. So yeah, it was. I think the way Tish has approached this is very smart, like very smart, and also, you know what I mean. It's in the future, but the setting and the way she styled it's done in a way where it's got that futuristic vibe, but you can imagine, that probably really was good for the budget, right? That didn't kill us, but it does have that Afro-futuristic kind of feel to it, you know? So very well done. I love the animation at the start. You know what I mean? Just all of these things work well, especially the music. I like the song at the end. I really dug that. Really dug that. And then just all these different notions, right? And the conversations that they're having with Shawn, right? I think it's one of those films, right? A bit like oh my days, what was the other film? There's another film I checked out recently. A Positive Contribution, right? It's one of those films where you leave the cinema, you leave the screening, right? And you'll have conversations. You know what I mean? Because I imagine people leaving and being like, yo, what do you think about this? Right? Do you use the word? How do you use the word? Like, what's the context? Would you want to go to Sankofa? Like, you know what I mean? Just all of these different things. Now, my one issue, apologies, people. My one issue with the film is some of the people that did get in, right? When it's like, oh, no, some non-black people do get in already. Yeah. Like Prince Harry? Prince Harry. No. Nope. And Serena Williams' husband. I don't know about those. Now, I'm less irritated with Serena Williams' husband. Now, there's just one thing homie did that I thought was just dumb as fuck. But Prince Harry, no. Fuck no. No to that one. All right, but yeah, everything other than that, I'm like, yo, yeah, this was like there's plenty to laugh at with this, right? There's so much where you're just smiling, man. It's funny. It's for real funny, Well, the timing was on point, all of that jazz, right? But then, as I said, it really touches on those issues, right? With the whole people wanting all the flavor of a culture, but without the stigmas, the burdens, you know what I mean? Just all the weight that comes with those things, right? And I think that's what, cultural appreciation is, So I think this was a very interesting approach. And when you see how this whole thing spun out, right? From her hearing someone, a friend of her husband say this thing on a live, right? You're just like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Because there's times when people might have just ignored it. They might have just said something to that husband, right? But to actually take that and then craft this as a response to it, I mean, there's a lot about that. There's definitely a lot about that. And it's, it's a smart thing. So people, if you get the opportunity, definitely check out The Burden. Actually, if you get the opportunity, obviously, you can watch it as part of Sci-Fi London, right? It will be playing online from the 14th to the 22nd of September. So, be sure to go check it out, right? All the links are on the website. So, you can go find out how to watch it there. And you can find out how to follow Tish and The Burden as well. So people, go do that, because this will not only educate, but will also bring you a lot of enjoyment. So The Burden.